I'm David Fleming from Disciples Ignited, a ministry that's focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Today on The Holy Spirit and You, we're going to be looking at 3 important facts about the gifts of the Holy Spirit. The first important fact, it's all about Jesus. Now listen carefully. The gifts of the Spirit are given to reveal Jesus and advance God's kingdom. It's never about you, the messenger. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Remember, the gifts of the Holy Spirit have been given to you so that you can more effectively reveal Jesus and advance his kingdom. Now, true, people are always going to try to turn the focus on you, but you've got to do everything you can to direct their attention back to Jesus. Let me read to you Acts chapter 3, verses 12 and 13, where Peter was preaching and he had to turn people's attention back to Jesus because the Spirit of God was so powerfully upon him. Listen to this. Peter said, "Why do you stare at us as if by our own power or godliness we had made this man walk? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, has glorified his servant Jesus." And then what about Paul when he was in Lystra? Acts chapter 14, verses 8 through 15 tells us that the crowds began to praise Paul and lift him up as if he were a god. You see, the crowds who praise you today can quickly turn and try to crucify you tomorrow, as they did Paul when he was on that missionary journey. God used Paul in a powerful way to bring healing to a man, but before you know it, the very people that were praising Paul as if he were a god turned back around and tried to kill him. You know, we need to learn, no matter how powerfully God uses us, it is not for us. It is not for our glory. It is all for Jesus' sake. So we need to do everything we can to get people to put their attention on Jesus, to focus on Jesus. Number 2, the gifts of the Spirit are exactly that. They are gifts. Now, you know, at Christmas time, some people think that they've earned their gifts by being good, but that is not at all how the gifts of the Spirit work. The gifts of the Spirit are unmerited, they are unearned, and therefore there is no reason for you to be prideful about what gifts the Holy Spirit has given you. Remember, Jesus can cause even a baby to operate in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. They are gifts. They are, as we have already taught you, based on God's grace. That's why they're called charisma. The roots of gifts is grace, emphasizing that we don't deserve it at all. And then number 3, service. The gifts of the Spirit are given so that we can better serve others. It's never to get people to serve us. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10 bears this out. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So no matter what gift of the Holy Spirit you have been endowed with, no matter how the gifts operate in your life, whether you prophesy, work miracles, or have words of wisdom or words of knowledge, whether faith is operating in your life, or whatever gifts, remember, it's all about Jesus. It's all for his glory. And it was given to you not because you earned it, but because God is loving and God is gracious. And it is given so that you can better serve other people for the glory of God. Now, these truths are very simple, but their simplicity doesn't determine their importance. You get any of these wrong or get them out of kilter, and you'll never be effective and fruitful in the way that the Holy Spirit wants you to be. Remember, the gifts are all about Jesus. The gifts are that. They are gifts unearned, and the gifts are so that you can serve others for the glory of Jesus. Now, I want you to join me tomorrow because we're going to be sharing with you a truth that is going to surprise some of you. The gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. What does that mean? Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. See you then.